Welcome back to Financial Ambassadors. We're looking at God's wisdom for being great ambassadors with our finances. Wise tip number 1 was to seek more Jesus rather than more money. Number 2 was to have a plan. And number 3 is to get out of debt with the exception of your mortgage as quickly as possible. And as for some of you, as God speaks to you, this might include your mortgage as well. You know, we live in a society where debt has become normal. It's almost a rite of passage now for an 18-year-old to get a credit card or a personal loan. That's what you do when you're an adult. And it's hard to even find a financial planner who would consider paying cash as an option for buying a car. Yet the scriptures say in Proverbs 22 verse 7 that the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. You know, we so often love singing songs of God's goodness, His love for us, and how we desire to love Him back with everything we have, with our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength. And yet, when we are in debt, it actually stops us from surrendering our lives fully to God, because you cannot give what doesn't belong to you. You cannot give what doesn't belong to you. So long as we are in debt, we are not in control of our finances. We are servant to our lender, not our God. As I said before, debt has become a way of life in Australia. The good old days are gone when if you couldn't afford to buy something you wanted, you couldn't buy it. But this is not the way it has to be, and it's certainly not the way God wants it to be. One of our values here at CCC Live is counterculture, and this is definitely a place for that to shine through. You know, I want to talk to young people for a moment, but this truth applies to all of us. Young people, you do not need or have to have a credit card. You do not need or have to have a car loan. If you've already applied wise tip number 2 from last week, then you've got a plan, and part of that plan should be saving to pay cash for the things that you want. If you cannot afford something that you want, if you go into debt to purchase it, you are basically saying to God, this thing is more important to me than being fully surrendered to you. You know, this is a tough pill to swallow, and I'm sure the older generation would agree with me, but the rest of us have been brainwashed into believing that waiting is a waste of our time, and that at 25 we should have the same house, if not better, than our parents, the same car, if not better, and definitely a better entertainment system. But you need to know that this is foolishness. And if you can get this truth now, it will completely revolutionize your life. And you can avoid making the same mistakes that those of us who've gone before you have made. You know, James 1 verses 2 to 4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." It might feel like a trial to drive a bommy car when all your friends have Hot Wheels, or to rarely eat out when your friends never seem to eat in, or to rent and save whilst your friends are living in what seems to be mansions. But this produces in you perseverance and is the building blocks of character. And if you can let it run its course and stick to your guns, living God's way, you will gain maturity and be changed into Christ's likeness, which is all of our goals. Plus, you're going to be living it up later in life because your house, car, kids' educations, holidays are all paid for, and you don't need to stress out about your finances. So this is all great if you don't have any debt, with the exception of your mortgage. But what do you do if you are in debt and you know that God is talking to you about changing that? You know, it might feel like an overwhelming impossibility, but there is a way called the debt snowball. And once you've done steps 1 and 2 from last week, this is step 3 in your plan to reach your financial vision. The debt snowball is simply a process of knocking off debt that will help you to stay focused and celebrate your successes. It lists out all your debts from small to big and creates momentum as you take them down one by one. You know, we have a short and simple AV that we can share with you on this, and if God is talking to you, please contact us at the church office and we'll forward you this resource. I just want to finish with 3 keys that you're going to need to be successful in this wise tip. The first is self-control. You need to say no to things now so that you can say yes to things later on. The second is sacrifice. You're going to have to give up some things that you love and want for some things that you love and want even more. And Christ's example of sacrifice is just incredible. He gave up his own life for our lives, something he loved even more. And plus, as I mentioned last week, you'll need to have a plan, and we can help you with that. But overall, if you have debt, you've got to get mad about getting rid of it. Dave Ramsey says you can walk into debt, but you can't walk out. You've got to run. Romans 13 verse 8 says, "Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another."